Welcome back to Press Club right here on DBS, and our guest tonight, Laura Jean-Pierre, the host of Newsmaker Live. Laura, we were just discussing today's headline in The Voice, where the media is being blamed for suicides. Well, we've agreed that that is not necessarily an accurate reflection of what the lady was saying. But another issue that has been in the media of late and has brought quite a lot of discussion, and I'm not sure how we in the media feel about it, and I'd like to get your view on that, and that is the efforts to get a sex offenders registry developed in St. Lucia. It exists in Trinidad, in Jamaica. The United States has passed a Megan law that could require any country with a sex offenders registry to inform the United States if any person on that registry is going to the United States, and vice versa. Your thoughts?
Now, I'll tell you something. While coming into studio, I received this. It's a little, not too long, but I'll read it. I heard a very passionate Laura Jean-Pierre yesterday smoking out rapists wherever they may be. By her account, rapists were everywhere except in her beloved UWP, Flabo, St. Lucia. Well, Miss Lady, I need you to ponder on this. A lady visits the offices of a now endorsed UWP candidate for a particular service. He directs her to a room at his office and instructs her to wait on him. He comes in, doesn't say a word to her, but proceeded to have sex with her, raped her. Since you are a ranking member of the party, can you ask of him the circumstances surrounding that unfortunate day? Will Rick Wayne investigate? Look out in the next few weeks for more on this. Now, I don't know who this person is. This was sent to me, extricated from SLAP. This
St. Lucian Action for Progress.
Whatever it is. I don't think they're
it's a chat
aiming,
room.
Right. I don't think they're aiming for progress. I think they're aiming to big up their own grandiose ideas of whatever it is. But let me just say this to whomever wrote this. I have never condoned rape. I will never condone rape. It could be my father, my brother, my uncle. It could be my priest, my friend, my prime minister, anybody who decides that the only thing that he could do is to debase a woman by taking away her rights from her, by forcing sex, and by that point, it's not sex. He didn't, if what you're saying is true, he didn't proceed to have sex with her, because if he proceeded to have sex with her, that's consensual. He raped her, that is forced. I will never condone that. Now, as for my beloved are Loretta Jean-Pierre, Augustine Jean-Pierre, my nieces, my nephew, my sisters, my brothers, my Lord and Savior, God, Jesus Christ, and our beloved Mother Mary. These are my beloveds. Okay? So people come, people go, organizations come, organizations go. You align yourself one way, you align yourself another way the next day. That has no bearing on who I am and what I stand for or against. And I stand 100% against rape of any kind. No matter who the perpetrator is or who the victim is, I am against it. Never get it twisted, never misunderstand. This gal here is against rape no matter what. So, having said that, I believe that we need to have this sex registry. And the reason for this is because there are too many people running the streets free. Because, well, guess what? Maybe they were caught and they've served their time, but I don't know. You know, I could have committed a crime, a rape in Labrie, and come up to Groseley. Nobody knew me in Groseley, and I just come up there, dust myself off, you know, change my hairstyle, you know, do something else. I'm working somewhere else, I'm doing something, and nobody knows. You know, nobody knows. I think it's high time we know who our neighbors are. Who are the people that we elect in positions, as this person is suggesting. This is a hopeful. We need to know who they are. So don't hide behind a cloak. You know, if you have facts and you have evidence, bring it to the police. We condemn the police all the time for not doing their jobs.
But you need to strengthen
but
them.
we need to strengthen them. Each one of us can play a role. I am not saying that it is my specific duty or it is your responsibility specifically. But if I know something that can assist the police in doing their jobs better, why am I hiding behind a pseudonym or a chat room?
It doesn't help.
It doesn't help.
It hinders.
It exactly. And by saying, pointing the finger at somebody else to do something about it while you're cowering, it doesn't help. Because you haven't given me any information to work about.
You've
to
just
work with.
politicized
Exactly.
a national issue,
And a national
that
issue.
needs to be
Yes.
addressed without party color.
And even though it were a party issue, I cannot now begin to, and even if I were as entrenched in the party as this person obviously thinks I am, which I'm not, you haven't given me anything. You know how many men are in the United Workers' Party? Do I go to all of them
And ask them, did you rape somebody?
And do you think that they're going to answer, oh, yeah, yesterday, you know, part for the course, I did that? No. So don't sit behind a pseudonym or hide in a chat room and make these kinds of baseless accusations. It gets nowhere. It doesn't help me. It doesn't help you. It certainly doesn't help the rape victim. And it certainly does not help the police to do what they're supposed to do, which is due diligence and for due process to have
for due process to take place. On the question of the sex offenders registry, there are two elements. Proponents, like you said, insist that women of all ages have to be protected against prowlers on the loose.
And prowlers don't necessarily have to be on the streets. A lot of the times we think a rapist is this big bad person, smelly, or who doesn't have a job, who's just lurking in the shadows and in the corners. No, rapists can be in our homes. You know?
And some human rights lawyers argue that the objective of the law is that once somebody has been found guilty of rape and has been sentenced, the person has done the crime, done the time, and therefore, having done the time, that person cannot therefore be forever tagged, given a life sentence of a name in a register where anybody could go to the register and say, hey, this neighbor of mine is a rapist, he's done it. But that neighbor is saying, listen, I've given up on that, I'm a man of God now.
Well, the statistics will show that when you catch a rapist, that may not necessarily have been the first time or the only time he's done it. That was the only time you caught him, but that does not mean that was the only time he's done it. And we have a number of, and in St. Lucia, unfortunately, our detection rate is not as high as we would like it to be.
Nor is the reporting rate, although it's increasing.
Yes, exactly. But we know in other territories that there are issues of serial rapists. They can't help themselves. They go out there, they're wired differently. You know, they're a menace to society.
People don't just wake up
one morning and say, I'm going to rape.
And that's what a lot of people don't understand.
Exactly. It builds up.
A rapist is an animal.
Exactly. That's the way I look at it. You use, there are signs. You do other things. You do different things, and then you get up to it's like building your courage, and then you do that first rape. And after you've done that first rape, I highly doubt that you built yourself up to say, you know, man, I really did like that. I finished it. I'm done with that. Chances are, it's most likely that you'll continue.
Real people cannot imagine fun in rape.
Exactly.
And as you pointed out, rape is not sex.
Exactly.
It's violence. And we're talking to Laura Jean-Pierre. This is the Press Club tonight, Saturday evening. If it's Saturday evening, it's the Press Club right here on DBS. And you've heard enough and seen enough of Laura on her show to know who we have here this evening. So let's go into Laura Jean-Pierre, the talk show host. Laura, you are now a talk show host.
Yes.
Is that what you always intended to be?
I think deep down inside, Earl, I had this latent desire to do something like that. One of my the women I admire greatly is Oprah Winfrey. And I guess by now, everybody knows that my biggest secret is out. I like to talk. And I also have human interests at heart. I remember when I was in school in Canada, I attended this college, Algonquin College, and I was saying we were talking about, we were young teenagers, and I was talking to my friends. I said, what do you want to do? Why don't you stay, because they loved me, why don't you stay in Canada? I said, no, I want to go back home. I want to talk about St. Lucia. I want to talk about the things that affect us and how to sell my country. I just want to talk about St. Lucia. I want to do this. And they said, how are you going to do that? And I thought at the time that I was going to do it in tourism. So I had studied marketing, and then, you know, I came back home and I went into tourism. I discovered I didn't really like being put in this. You never know, your life is not your own, you know. So I discovered I didn't really like that. I did like tourism, but not the nature of it.
The box you were in.
The box, right. So then, but I always knew somewhere deep down that I would eventually be doing something like this.
Are you going to stay?
I hope I stay. I hope St. Lucia loves me enough to keep me
Why would
around.
you want to stay in the media?
Because I love it. On a Wednesday, my days are full, but I live for a Wednesday. And I do my 9 to 5, and then, you know, at work, everybody goes, oh, you know, today she's leaving early because, you know, she's got to go. And they tease me about it, but I know they support me. And because of that support, you know, I just love it. I like when the people call, you know, and you've had a particularly interesting show and it's touched a lot of people. And the people call you and say, you know, that show really touched me, and that's a good topic. Or even when you're on the street, I try to go incognito. When I'm out there, I am not this person.
Impossible.
I know. I went out last night for the first time in a long time, and the lady who was serving me, you know, she says, well, good evening. And I just knew, and I'm like, what is she doing? And she's like, I just love your show, and I watch it all the time. I'm like, oh my gosh, my hair's in a mess, I'm dressed down, I have no makeup on, and they still recognize me. And I love that in a sense, because
they identify with the person.
Right. And whatever I'm speaking about, it resonates with them. So I love that. So I think if there's one thing that I've really loved in all of the years, all of my adult life, it's this. I think I've really found a home.
Folks, you're hearing it right from the lady's mouth. I almost said the horse's mouth. Right from the lady's mouth.
Not
Laura,
quite tall enough.
Yeah, Laura Jean-Pierre, host of Newsmaker Live, and we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll continue talking to her about your mission on Newsmaker Live. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.